Hello everybody, welcome on in. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's your number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers. It's the final ATP Tour event of the season. It's been a long season. Speaking about that with Sean Calvert just before the show. It's been a long season. Before I introduce you to Sean, you may be coming to the end of the tennis season, but the content on this channel never ever ends. The guys across America on Betting Weekly Live PM have been smashing it, and the American football season is hotting up, as well as the NBA. We got you covered on that, as well as the football, the soccer, the Premier League and the Europa League and the Champions League, and all the leagues across Europe are coming to the business end for the season. So the tennis may be over, but the action here on this channel never stops. So please hit the subscribe button. We'll keep you across everything across the winter before the tennis season starts again. And someone who needs a bit of a rest, and someone who's it's been a long year. It's our senior ATP Tour handicapper is Sean Calvert. Good afternoon, Sean.
Good afternoon. It's a nice sunny sort of almost late summer day here actually in the UK, isn't it? It's all right. I'm doing all right. But yeah, obviously jaded at the end of the year. It's a very, as I've said before, it's an extremely long season, isn't it? 11 months, not quite 11 months, but more or less 11 months out of 12 is, by anybody's standards, that's a long season, isn't it? And when you come to the Tour Finals, it's not my favourite tournament. I've said this many times before. It's like a showpiece at the end of the year, isn't it? But still potential for money to be made even this late in the season, as we showed with Tien in Metz.
Well, it didn't take you long to bring the elephant in the room straight away. Tien
I don't hide
Metz,
from stuff, you know that.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to say, if you didn't watch last week's show, we gave an advice for the tournament in Metz starting Saturday, and we gave Lerner Tien as a somewhat suggested pick at 22-1. There was obviously no outright prices at the time when we recorded the show. They came around in the morning, and some people said that the price had moved. Some people got on a little bit of the price. But what we said on this show, every time we record a show, and it's only happened twice throughout the season, when we recorded a show after the tournament started, we can't include them on the official picks because the lines might have moved or people might not have got the bet on. And unfortunately for us, on both occasions, the last time we did it was Kaboli who won the tournament, and this time around we got Lerner Tien in the final, which would have made a huge amount of difference on our points tally.
Massive,
but it is a rule that we have, and unfortunately we have to abide by the rule. But hopefully, the most importantly, some of you had watched the show. I know a couple have already tweeted that they've got on at lower prices. Yeah, so hopefully you've got on, and that's the main thing. And obviously just a bit of hard luck, extremely unlucky, which has been an unlucky season. And
certainly on the outright.
People have said things to me about you ride your own luck and all this kind of stuff. But I think some of the luck we've had on this channel has been hard. Anyway, we've got to get a bit lucky going into the Tour Championships. But the Tour Championships, it's a mess. It's not the most interesting event.
It's a mess, isn't it?
Go on. I mean, the thing is, Sean, we start off the year, everyone raced for Turin. We've spoken about weeks and weeks and weeks to going into it. Now, the tournament starts tomorrow, and we don't even know if these three people are going to participate. We're not quite sure if Felix Auger-Aliassime's going to be in. We're not quite sure if Lorenzo Musetti's going to be in. We do not know if Novak Djokovic is going to compete because he's in the finals today in Athens. And it is an absolute joke. And they consider this to be one of the biggest tournaments. People come and watch this tournament, buy tickets to go to Turin. And we still don't know three people. We don't know if the greatest player of all time is going to play. It's incredible.
It is, but it's very typical of the ATP, isn't it? This is ATP, this classic ATP. This, I think somebody said they'd change this for next year, in the sense that qualification for this tournament cuts off at the end of Paris. So I'm not sure whether that's true or not. I believe it is. I believe that's the case. Wouldn't it have been obvious to do that, in previous years? Otherwise, you're in a situation where you're in, which we're in now, where we don't even know who's going to play. I mean, it could be Felix, it could be Musetti. That literally is, a toss of a coin at the minute. I'm assuming Novak Djokovic will play, but you can't have a situation where the qualifiers aren't known until the day the tournament starts or the day before the tournament starts. I mean, they usually do this photo call, don't they? I remember in years gone by, they used to have them when it was in London. You remember they had them all on the tube, didn't they? Like Federer and Nadal on a tube train and all that. There's only 6 of them here. How many is 1, 2, 3, 6? Is it?
Yeah, there is six. Yeah. They can't put Felix in, so they don't know if he's going to be here.
Yeah, so there's 6 of them.
And Novak Djokovic and Musetti have got to come up to the 6. Yeah,
it's farcical, isn't it? I mean, it wouldn't have taken a genius to say, a year or two ago, or however many years ago, qualification cuts off here, so we're not having any of this trying to hoover up a 250 in the last week and leaving themselves in the farcical state that they're in now. We can't even do the betting properly because there's no odds for one of the groups because we don't know who's going to be in it. So, yeah, I mean, if you wanted a microcosm of ATP organisation, and this is it, basically.
Yeah, it is absolutely a joke. And people have bought tickets, people to come from Serbia, people to come from Italian players, want to see Musetti, Canadians. I mean, it's just insane that a day before a tournament and no one knows three of the participants in the tournament. And you could get withdrawn, someone else could come in at any stage as well. So it is bizarre.
Yeah.
But we're going to do the best we can. And the first thing we can do is talk about these conditions. Now, before we talk about the conditions, let's give you some of the Turin. We've had it in Turin for 4 years now. Last year, Yannick Sinner beat Taylor Fritz in the final. Yannick Sinner got to the final a year before. We should have won it because he could have had the opportunity to knock Novak Djokovic out, but didn't forfeit a match, and Novak Djokovic beat him in 2023. Djokovic won it in 2022, and Alexander Zverev won it in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the court speeds here, I've been here twice, actually, and it is one of the quickest tournaments around. I mean, if you're a big server, you've got a chance. Well, has it changed?
Yeah, it changed last year. They made it much slower last year. Not insanely slower, but quite a bit slower.
Well, it used to be the fastest one. It's still quick.
Yes, yeah. It's just not as quick as it was. If I've got the CPIs here, the last few years, 2022, I think, I'm not sure which year you were there, Nigel, but 2022, it was 43.2. 2023, it was 43.8. That's pretty quick. Last year, it went down to 38.4, which is still all right, but it's not as quick. It's not as quick as previous.
I didn't go last year. I went 23 and 22.
Yeah, when the 2 years you went, then it was quick, 43 and 43.8 CPIs. Now, the only information that we've got from this year is from the somewhat unreliable voice of Alexander Zverev. He said he thinks it's quicker than Paris. Well, okay, thanks for that, Sasha. Yeah, if it's slower than Paris, you've got major problems. Because Paris was extremely slow. That's all we've got so far. Because with any indoor tournament, they can do, as I said many times, they can do what they want with it. Paris being a classic example. Even the outdoor courts, they can do what they want with it. Shanghai, which used to be lightning quick, is now a pudding of a court. Paris, which has been up, down over the last 10, 15 years or whatever, that was really quick last year. They massively slowed that down this year. They can do what they want. I mean, last year they were 86.7% holds and 76.9% first serve points won. That's still pretty lively because there is a bit of altitude there, isn't there? It's not much. I think it's about 200 and just over 200 meters. I think it's not a huge, but it's a bit. So just all we can go on really is last year. You wouldn't have thought that the Italians would make this slower than it was last year because you would think that would favour Alcaraz, who keeps saying he prefers a slow court. You wouldn't have thought in Italy they would lean towards an Alcaraz favourable court. You would have thought they'd keep it more or less the same as last year, which wasn't, it wasn't too quick, but it's probably medium fast. But as I said, the altitude probably makes the balls zip through a little bit quicker. Last year, the tie-break averages, so far in Turin is actually quite low. The few editions that they've had in Turin is only 42% of the matches have featured a tie-break. Now that's nothing to do with indicating it's quick for me. That's because there's the elite returners are playing here. If there wasn't such good returners here, it would be much more tie-breaks, but only 42%. As far as underdogs winners are concerned, it's often feast or famine here. There's either hardly any, or occasionally you get a year where there's quite a few. It boils down to an average of 31% if you're talking about the last 13 editions of this tournament when it was held in London and Turin and various places. So not normally a fabulous one for underdog winners, a kind of average. But the underdog profit and loss is actually up $80 in the last 9 editions. Now, some of that is because there's been some quite big price winners. I seem to remember Casper Ruud beating Alcaraz last year. There aren't that many underdog winners, but the ones there are have been quite good prices, which means if you'd bet every underdog for $10 in the last 9 editions, you'd be up $80. So not a complete breakdown of what's going to happen because we really don't know about the court conditions. Zverev said it's quicker than Paris. My guess would be it'd be similar-ish to last year.
let's have a look at the outright odds with Bet Rivers. Now, Bet Rivers are offering win only. Now, they're usually extremely generous on their each way parts of these bets and their each way terms, but I think they're absolutely right to bet win only because the market is just dominated by the front two. And they take up 100% of the market, so you've got 6 players there making up the rest. So it's just to highlight that. Look at the prices. Yannick Sinner is minus 140, the defending champion, and obviously playing in Italy. Carlos Alcaraz is plus 140, and the two of them are battling out to be world number one. It'll be no surprise at all to see them play in the final, and the winner will be the world number one. I'm sure that's how it's going to work, and I'm sure that's how the media and how the tournament organiser want it to work. Novak Djokovic is next in 18-1, getting better and better and better as the tournament's going on in Greece. He had a slow start, but he's got better and better and better. And, someone might see that as his sort of farewell win if, rumours may be led to believe that he might be on a farewell tour next year. Alexander Zverev, 20-1. Taylor Fritz, 20-1. Alex de Minaur, 22. Ben Shelton, 25. I'm a bit surprised that Ben Shelton is an outsider compared to those, really. He's probably the freshest and probably the player who's, if it's quick, has got a good advantage there. Before we go on to the groups, the group, let's have a look at those outright markets, Sean. I mean, what do you make of it? It is hard to have a bet win only. It's very, very difficult when you look at it and you consider, that the top two are just taking up 100% of the whole betting market.
Yeah, it's not great when we haven't got the each way option because, Sinner is such an overwhelming favourite, really. I mean, Alcaraz, for me, has got an awful lot to prove on indoor hard, particularly if it is lively conditions. I have got a bet in the group winner market. For me, I mean, the outright, you're hoping someone's going to beat Sinner, aren't you? Who's that person going to be? Alcaraz obviously is the obvious choice, but I'm not completely convinced that Alcaraz will get that far. He's only played 7 matches at the Tour Finals. He's only won 3 of them, and 2 of those were wins over Andrei Rublev. His best result here so far has been 1 semi-final. So history would suggest that if he's the one that is quite a short price there, plus 140. Djokovic, again, I'll come on to him in a minute, but it's just a fitness thing with Djokovic. I'm not sure I'm assuming he's going to play. I mean, it would be very, very late now for him not to play, but he's still got to play this Athens final. He's 38 and a half years old or whatever he is. It's just such a tall order for him to do that week in Athens, then come back and instantly start playing the best players in the world. And then have to beat Sinner as well. Even if he gets to the final, he'll be absolutely exhausted by then and have to play Sinner. So I can't really see much interest in the outright market if it is win only. I mean, I agree with you in the sense that I don't see Shelton as less likely to win this than de Minaur. I find that a little bit strange.
And I think Taylor Zverev to me looks like a big fade. I mean, like the way he ended the season, I know he traditionally does well at this tournament, but
he's had a lot of injuries, hasn't he? I think that's the problem that he's had. And the belief. I mean, can you see Zverev winning a big match now against a Sinner or an Alcaraz, particularly Sinner, who absolutely crushed him in Paris a few days ago, and that was slowish conditions. I'll come on to the group betting in a second, but it's just as far as this pure outright win only is concerned. I mean, de Minaur, I'd have him the least likely out of anybody to win this. Maybe Musetti, if Musetti gets through. I'd put Felix as more likely to win it than de Minaur. I just can't see de Minaur figuring at all. Shelton, his record against the very best isn't that great, but he's an explosive player. If he does get an early win, he could certainly ride the adrenaline. Potentially, I'd put him more likely than de Minaur, but yeah, I can't have a bet on win only because it is so likely that Yannick Sinner is going to win.
Now, we do have 2 groups, or 1 group. So there's actually 2 groups in the tournament, but only 1 group. And that could change as well because we might have Novak Djokovic not participating, and then that could just make that group void as well. So this is where we are. The last couple of weeks have been a little bit of a mess of the season, really, obviously, with the tournament starting and hardly any matches to talk about. But it's a bit, hopefully the content throughout the year has been great. But the Be On Board group, first of all, we can't bet. But the Be On Board group is Yannick Sinner, Alexander Zverev, Ben Shelton, Felix Auger-Aliassime or Lorenzo Musetti. That is how it stands now. We know who's going to take up that final place. But I don't know. What happens if Novak Djokovic pulls out? Does one of them will have to go into that group?
Yeah, an alternate comes in, doesn't it? I guess the alternate is Bublik, isn't it?
It'll be Aliassime or Musetti, won't it?
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
Well, then one of them will be the
One
alternate.
of them,
One
but
of
the other
them will
one
have
is
to go in the Jimmy Connors.
the other one is Bublik, isn't it? I think there's two alternates.
Yeah.
But the first,
He will then become the official alternate. So whoever's not qualified, it will go into the Jimmy Connors. It's a mess. But let's get on to a bet, because this is what we come here for a bet. Jimmy Connors group winner now. They've got 4 people in Jimmy Connors group winner. At the moment, we do know this is the group. Carlos Alcaraz is the heavy favourite, -475. Taylor Fritz is $8, Novak Djokovic $9, Alex de Minaur 10. We've already sort of ruled out Alex de Minaur as the least likely to do well in this tournament. We've also said Novak Djokovic has got some fatigue. Well, he's going to have some fatigue if he does participate, coming back from Greece, where he's gone to the final, wins the tournament, or gets to the final. Long match against Musetti, comes here. Brings in Taylor Fritz, 8, rested. Carlos Alcaraz, -475. Not quite sure whether the conditions are going to suit him. So I'm just by the process of elimination, I'm guessing we're on Taylor Fritz.
You've worked it out quite well, actually. Yeah, we are on Taylor Fritz. Yeah, I mean 8-1, I think is not bad actually. Alcaraz minus what's that, 475.
Yeah,
not
475.
Not for me. If you forget the name for a minute and just look at the record, you can't have him minus 475 in conditions like this. I mean, his record here is poor. You know, indoors generally when it's quick, he's not really done it. As far as I can remember, the only indoor title he's won is at Rotterdam, when they made it particularly slow, or slowish, just for him, which is kind of what they did in Paris, and that backfired as well. But you know, so there's question marks. There's not too many question marks over Carlos Alcaraz, but this is one of them. And if you do have a question mark over Alcaraz, this group is very open. I'm ruling out de Minaur, and Fritz is the obvious choice. You know, he made the final here last year. Has a lot more belief these days against the elite players than he did a year or two ago. You know, made a Grand Slam final. A lot of this tour finals is about feeling you belong, isn't it? And we've seen people turn up like Rublev and, you know, one or two others, and Ruud, and Ruud did make the final here actually. That don't really feel like they belong. Fritz doesn't feel that way for me anymore. Beat Alcaraz in Laver Cup on indoor hard in slow conditions. It was really slow there in San Francisco, you know, not too long ago, a few months ago. So he's not going to be afraid by Taylor Fritz in quick conditions. He'll fancy this more. He did play him in the Tokyo final, but he was injured then, Fritz. He probably shouldn't have completed that match, actually. He was in pretty bad shape. And importantly, he finally got a win over Novak Djokovic. I know it was at the Six Kings exhibition via a second set retirement, but it's still a win. And the match that he played against Novak Djokovic in the US Open is perhaps more relevant to a lot of people. All right, he lost it in 4 sets. He donated his serve away at the end of the 4th set, got broken at the end of the 4th set. But he actually won the totals, service points won and return points won totals of that match, 102-98 over 4 sets against Novak Djokovic at a slam. He should have taken it to a 5th. The statistics will show that. Had he taken it to a 5th, I'm pretty sure he would have won that. You know, Djokovic didn't have hardly anything left. Lucky for him to have won it in 4 sets. The other factor is he's only played 4 matches, Fritz, in the last month. So he's got to be fresh. You know, I know he's played a lot of tennis in the season as a whole, but in the last month or so, only 4 matches. And the question mark is an obvious one over Novak Djokovic. You know, 38 years old, be 39 in May. It's not ideal for him, is it? I can't imagine he would have played Athens, and other than the fact that it's his brother's tournament, he lives in Greece. Are we going to be questioning the schedule in a few days? I think it's the answer to that is probably yes. De Minaur, as I've said, he's just need to look at his record against the trio of Djokovic, Alcaraz, and Sinner. De Minaur has played 21 matches and he's won 1. And the 1 was in United Cup at home in Australia against Djokovic right at the start of the season, which was an absolute nothing match. A lot depends on Novak's fitness. That's obvious, you know. But at the odds, I'm happy to take a chance on Fritz to win this group. I mean, he's not. Everyone's going to be looking at the other group, aren't they? Thinking, I don't want to really come second in this group because I'm going to play Sinner. You know, I want to win this group, and particularly Fritz, because if he wins this group, the chances are he'll play Zverev, who he's got an incredible record against, particularly recently. Won 6 out of the last 6, I think, beating him, you know, consistently in recent times. So that's an obvious thing, isn't it? Tennis players say they don't look at draws and stuff. I think these probably do. I think if you're in the Taylor Fritz camp, you're thinking, look, you've beat Alcaraz on indoor hard. You've beat Djokovic. You know, you should be beating de Minaur. You can win this group. So Yeah, I think that's the viable bet here is the 8-1 on Taylor Fritz.
Yeah, Taylor Fritz 8-1 to win the Jimmy Connors group, and obviously that may be void if Novak Djokovic says he doesn't want to play in the tournament. So we may go into the Tour Championship without an official play, but we have got a couple of matches. Hopefully, Sean has something for us there. Now we have two matches which start on Sunday. I'm just going to get the times of these because I haven't got the times of these in front of me. So the first match is tomorrow, Carlos Alcaraz against Alex de Minaur. This is 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. Now, if you're looking for a shock here, you might be hard to find it. We've already said that Alex de Minaur is the one player that Sean wants to fade. Alcaraz is a player that has got an overwhelming head-to-head record against the Aussie. 4-0, he leads the head-to-head. He's beaten twice already this year in Barcelona and in Rotterdam in that final where they slowed it down to give him a massive advantage here. And Bet Rivers are taking no chances on these odds. If you look at the odds, it's minus 330 Alcaraz, plus 260 for Alex de Minaur. Spread is 3.5. Total here is 22.5. There's your set bet, and there's your total sets. I mean, I look at this, I can't see any way that Alex de Minaur can struggle can compete with Carlos Alcaraz. If the court speed, as you say, is what it was, or even if they speeded it up, I think he's better in every single department. Alcaraz to win 2-0 is minus 115, which is the same as the over 22.5, which is a bit of a strange one. Under 22.5 is minus 130. So, I mean, can Alex de Minaur give him any problems?
He could give him some problems. You know, if it's quicker, you would fancy his chances more. I mean, I remember the very first match that these two played on clay in Barcelona. De Minaur should have won it. Lost it 6-7, 7-6, 6-4. I remember it because I think we put up Alcaraz to win the tournament. In fact, I'm sure we did. And I seem to remember de Minaur having several chances to win that match on clay. So, and the Rotterdam match, he took a set as well. I mean, it's hard to be bullish about de Minaur's chances of winning the actual match. I'm not sure I see that happening, but I think he could make it a test for Alcaraz. Certainly, if it's quicker or you know, similar-ish to last year, maybe a bit quicker. Any quicker would be great for de Minaur. The head-to-head, while it's 4-0, it's not massively overwhelming. You know, it's 104-96 in favour of Carlos Alcaraz. That's not as overwhelming as if you look at this and just think, you know, 4-0, okay, you know, that's all she wrote. Not really, because the second serve points won over those four matches, two of which were on clay, is exactly the same, 52% each. So there's nothing in it from the back of the court over those four matches. Alcaraz has been better on first serve and slightly, and better on return, which gives him that 104-96 advantage, but it's not huge. And Alcaraz's record here, it's very mediocre. It's extremely mediocre for a player of his stature. Service points won and return points won total here of just 100, Alcaraz. But de Minaur's is even worse, you know, 87 in the matches that he's played here, de Minaur. So it's an ideal start, isn't it, for Alcaraz? If you want to be playing anybody in this group, you want to be playing de Minaur first, really. You know, shake off a bit of the rustiness, get used to the conditions against a player that you would be expected to beat. I think if you're betting in this, some of these matches are quite difficult. I'd probably take Alcaraz to win on a bet builder. Alcaraz to win in over 21.5 games, which is plus 156, I believe, with Bet Rivers. I can't see Alcaraz losing it, but you know, his record suggests that he's not at his best here. So, yeah, there is a chance for de Minaur to at least be competitive, I think.
There's an interesting way of getting with Carlos Alcaraz rather than taking the minus 330. Use the Bet Builder option on the Bet Rivers app. Download the app. And remember, if you do have a bet on this match, you can live stream the match as well. So you can bet live and watch live for the Tour Finals on the Bet Rivers app. Now, our second match for tomorrow is probably it's another one that looks a little bit more interesting from the betting perspective, but it's not really. If you're looking at the head-to-head, it's not so interesting at all. This match is 2:30 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. It's Zverev against Shelton. Now, Alexander Zverev has a 4-0 winning head-to-head record. It's Ben Shelton as well. So a very, very overwhelming head-to-head record in favour of Alexander Zverev. And they've met 3 times this year. And the last time they met was in the quarterfinals in Cincinnati. It was 6-2, 6-2. 3 of the 4 have been straight sets wins. 3 of the 4 this year have been straight sets wins. But they did play out a close match, 7-6, 7-6 in Stuttgart in the semi-final, also earlier on this year. The odds have changed a little bit for this match. There has been a little bit of movement towards Ben Shelton. Minus 143 now is the price for Alexander Zverev. plus 117 for Shelton. Spread is 1.5, and total here is, get this one, Sean, it's a massive one. It's 25.5, minus 124 for the over, under minus 106. We expect tie breaks, we expect long games. There's got to be an angle somewhere on first set overs, or is there an angle on the tie break in the match? What have we got for us?
I think that's the way to go. I mean, if we just look at the 4-0 head-to-head, it's exactly the same scoreline as Alcaraz de Minaur, but this is much more overwhelming in favour of the guy that's won all four. I mean, it's quite a big ask for Shelton to win this on his debut in the Tour Finals. It's not like any other tournament. You know, I'm sure it'll suit his personality, but first match against a guy that you've got a really awful record against, it's kind of a big ask. Plus 117, not for me, unless Zverev isn't fit, which it has been his problem in the last 6 months or maybe slightly more. Zverev limped out of the Paris semi-finals against Sinner. All right, he completed the match, but he was barely there, wasn't he? With a left leg injury, it was a pretty awful spectacle. It hasn't been fit for months. It was a left leg. Before that, it was the shoulder. Before that, it was the back. I think the only way you could bet Shelton at slight plus money here is on the basis that Zverev isn't fit, because if he's fit, it's not a good price. It's been a bad matchup for him. As I said, the head-to-head, actually put that in wrong. The head-to-head is 113 to 87 in favour of Zverev. So a much more overwhelming set of numbers than the de Minaur Alcaraz one. And Zverev's held serve, this is where the total comes in here. Zverev's held serve 98% of the time against Shelton. Shelton's only held serve 83% of the time. So over 25.5 would be, not for me. That's pretty high. That's assuming it's going to be 7-6, 7-6. That's quite a big assumption. Given that Zverev only wins 59%, Zverev wins 59% of second serve points in his matchup against 45% for Shelton. Shelton barely winning any return points at all against the big serve of Zverev. And as you said, Nigel, 3 of those matches were this season. It's not a historical head-to-head, one of which was in pretty quickish conditions in Cincy only 10 or so weeks ago. So it's been a great matchup for Zverev. And if we look at the record of Alexander Zverev in these conditions in the Tour Finals, he doesn't often play quick opening sets. 5 of the last 9 opening sets Zverev's played in Turin have been tiebreaks, and 3 of the other 4 were 6-4. The other one was 6-3. So he's never played an opening set of less than 9. Most of the time it's been 10 or 12. So that also doesn't surprise me, given that Zverev is often a little bit of a slow starter in tournaments, and given Shelton's serve at altitude, all right, it's only a slight altitude, but it's still altitude, and Shelton's poor return stats against Zverev, you would certainly expect initially few breaks of serve, unless Shelton is kind of little bit overawed and a bit taken aback by the experience, which, knowing his personality, you wouldn't expect, but it is possible. So I think you'd go over the games in set 1 here. Plus 121 it is for over 10.5 games in set 1 with Bet Rivers. That's where I'd be heading if I was having a bet in this particular match.
Over 10.5, plus 121. The line is moved from 23.5 to 25 on the total. So everyone expecting this one to be a very long match. Now, our only match that we can talk about is the match, the final match is the second group, which is the Be On Board group, is the match that we hope we'll be participating on. And that is the match between Novak Djokovic and Taylor Fritz, which is scheduled for Monday, I believe, at 8 a.m. So that's Eastern time, 8 a.m. Now, this is another one with a huge dominant head-to-head record, but Sean has just sort of touched on the fact that we'd like Taylor Fritz to win the group. He does trail 11-1 in the head-to-heads, but he did win their last meeting at the Six Kings Slam, which is probably takes a little bit of pressure off him, knowing that he's beaten him, even though it's not a big tournament, it's an exhibition match. And obviously, you said it earlier, we said it when the preview on the outright market, Novak Djokovic must be absolutely exhausted. And Taylor Fritz is fresh, he's fit, he's ready to go. So this is his best opportunity to beat Novak Djokovic. And it's really sort of summed up in those odds that we have there with Bet Rivers currently. Plus 109, Taylor Fritz. It must be the shortest price he's ever been against Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic is minus 133. We're still waiting for the spread. We're still waiting for the totals. I've estimated it to be about a 1.5 spread or a 23.5 total. There's your set bet and there's your total sets. There is a load of props on the market as well, but I think we're waiting to find out what state Djokovic is or what kind of match he's going to come through against Musetti in the final of Greece before we get a lot of these prop markets. But Taylor Fritz here is plus 109. Now, usually, if someone said to me, there's a guy there who's played 12 matches of tennis, the other guy's beat him 11 times, and you can bet the one who's beaten once in an exhibition at plus 109. I'd say, no, thank you very much. But on this occasion, I think you might want to try, you're going to try to talk me into betting Taylor Fritz.
I think if you are betting Fritz, I think you've got to go all in here, because this
all in.
You can't be limping in here. I don't think. I think you've got to go all in. You're either in or you're out. I'm sure a lot of people will be out, but I'm in. Obviously, this could go wrong, but I mean, it just looks like a very bad situation, this, for Novak Djokovic, to me. You know, the final in Athens this evening, we don't know what's going to happen in that, obviously. What I'm pretty sure won't happen is that Musetti will roll over pretty easily or at all. You know, Musetti will give that absolutely everything he's got. He's worked so hard, Musetti, to get to where he is. He's not going to give that up easily. You know, you would expect that one to be a real battle. Whatever happens in that final in Athens, you know, it's taking. It won't be finished until what, 7, 8 p.m. local time. You know, it doesn't start till 5 p.m. local at the earliest. So he's got to finish that, do everything that he's got to do after the match. So he's going to have to take either a late flight to Turin tonight. I'm sure he's got his private jet. I'm sure that won't be a problem. Or in the morning. So, you know, what time has he got? He's got to he'll get to Turin, you know, do what he's got to do, have a hit on Sunday, and then play on Monday. I just think it's a big ask for a 38-and-a-half-year-old who has shown a lot of physical frailties in recent times, as you would expect, you know, at his age, and the style that he plays. You know, it is a very physical style that he plays, and it's a lot harder to do now that he's that age. Fritz obviously will have had much more time to get attuned to the conditions here. Remember, there's altitude here. Obviously, as you said, much fresher, having only played 4 matches in the last month. Djokovic would have played 4 matches in the last 5 days by the time this evening comes around. The obvious sticking point is their head-to-head, which is awful over the course of their careers. But, you know, the first time they played was 2019 on the clay in Monte Carlo. You know, it's a very long time ago. And, you know, things have changed in recent times. And the last 2 meetings, not just the Six Kings one, but the last 2 have favoured Fritz. All right, he lost in New York, but look at the numbers. You know, he won the totals 102-98 over the course of 4 sets. And he only took 2 of 13 breakpoint chances, Taylor Fritz, that day. You know, if he'd have been a bit more clinical on those breakpoint chances, you know, he should have won the match anyway on the numbers, 102-98. So his team will be looking at this and saying, look, you know, you're right there with this guy anyway. Now you're playing the same guy who's had much worse preparation, going to be more tired, more leggy. And obviously, if you just look at that Six Kings match, he led that 106-94 in the totals, did Taylor Fritz, when Djokovic retired after the opening set. So over the course of the last 2 matches, he's been the better player on paper. He's going to want to prove that now, you know, it's his time rather than the time of Novak Djokovic. And, you know, given how close it's been between them in the past couple of meetings, the past few months, you know, you've got to have some big doubts about Novak Djokovic having the physicality to win this sort of match. You know, he doesn't have that dominance over Fritz anymore. It has been very close. And even more so after a long week in Athens. So, you know, if you're going in, you're going in. So plus 109, Taylor Fritz, let's take a chance.
I thought when you say we're going to go all in, I thought you're going to go 2-0 Fritz, or, you know, I thought when we're going all in, we're going all in.
For me, that's all in. I mean, you can go to.
That's like your one Magnus to my sort of 22 Stellas kind of approach to life.
Sometimes
I'm going 2-0. I'm going 2-0. Yeah, but my all in is like Fritz minus 3.5 games or something like that. All in. I thought that's what we were going. Real bold.
This is as bold as I get. I think this is reasonably bold, considering it's 11-1 head-to-head.
Yeah.
It's still pretty bold.
It's plus 109. I mean, the last American winner of this tournament was back in 1999, Pete Sampras, when he beat Andre Agassi, an All-American finalist. And do you know who the last American finalist prior to Fritz last year was in this tournament?
Is it someone entirely random?
Not really.
The last American finalist prior to who? Sorry, prior to
Taylor Fritz last year.
Andy Roddick.
No, James Blake in 2006. He got beat by Roger Federer. So
Don't
been a long
remember
time since an American won this tournament. Not in the 21st century. We're hoping it could be Taylor Fritz's time this time around. So that is it. We've put together something. Now that's an achievement in itself to put together something on this tournament. It could all go wrong. Novak Djokovic could pull out, then all our bets become void, and we've just wasted 35 minutes of our time and 35 minutes of your time watching it. But however, throughout the tournament, there will be coverage of it. We'll be doing Betting Weekly Tennis Live every day, Monday through to Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time with the tennis team. I'll be on a couple of those this week. And myself and Sean will be back trying to find a couple of days where we can come in and just give you some bets. When we do know the field, we do know the conditions, and we have a better chance to try to end the season on a bit of a high. Now, good luck to anyone who's bet Lerner TN. Unfortunately, on our official figures that you'll see on the screen there, they're not encountered on that. But we do know that obviously we had the win of Kaboli and we had Lerner TN there in this tournament, which would have made that figure a lot different. But the transparency is what we show on this channel, and we're not going to change that. Either we're winning or we're losing. And obviously, we know two of you, well, the message you sent are on Lerner TN today. So good luck on that one. Just one final thing, Sean. I thought Musetti was a big price today to beat Djokovic.
I haven't seen the price actually. What is he?
Djokovic is about minus 250. I thought
if you're going on motivation, Musetti's is higher, isn't it? For sure.
He's been bet. He's now minus $3. It's like minus $3 and plus 210.
I think if you're Novak,
it's a big price.
If you're Novak Djokovic, your work is done, isn't it? Because
you get into the final, get the tickets,
exactly.
Go home, get on the flight, done.
Is he going to be that bothered about winning this? No. I mean, I'm sure, yes, he wants to win probably, but is he, in terms of motivation, Musetti's is 100, isn't it? Yeah. Djokovic is probably about, I don't know, 85 or something. So, Musetti's the one that's got to win. So Djokovic doesn't have to win. He's tuned himself up. He'll probably think, all right. So, I certainly wouldn't bet Djokovic there.
If this show doesn't go live before that Novak Djokovic match, can you please cut that out, John? Thank you very much. That's been it for this week's the preview of the ATP Tour Championship here on Game Bet Match. Have a good rest of your weekend. We're coming a little bit day earlier. Enjoy that. Action starts tomorrow. Remember, it's a little bit of time. It's an 8 a.m. start tomorrow. Eastern Time, and there'll be loads of different prices, and hopefully by then we'll know the people who are playing in the tournament. That would be nice, wouldn't it? We'd like to know the participants before the tournament began, but that'd be great. Only 8 of them. See if we can get them home. Anyway, that's it for this week. Have a good weekend. Take care, and we'll talk to you again sometime next week.